Hey everyone, this is Karsh from OneTap. So this is a quick video on how to connect OneTap with other applications, specifically using Zapier, and also how to access our public API. So as a little bit of a background, APIs let applications talk to each other, and that way you can connect two different applications together. For example, a common use case here is like connecting OneTap with Google Forms, or connecting OneTap with Jot Forms, or there are lots of different possibilities. Practically anything that can kind of like transmit data, and then practically anything that can receive data, like in this case, OneTap being the receiver. So what you want to do is in this example right here, I'm going to go over to Zapier and I'm going to go over to the create button right here, and we're going to create a zap. So what a zap is basically a task which, for example, it's basically like a job that runs, and you can have these jobs set up to run whenever an application has certain input. For example, like whenever someone fills out a Google form and submits it, and then like all of a sudden like this thing will run, and then it will perform some sort of an action, like take all that data from that application and then send it over to OneTap. So what you want to do is you want to go over here, and their Copilot feature is really cool. You can obviously do this with like kind of doing this one by one, but I'm gonna use a Copilot feature because it's just like I feel like it's the generative AI is just definitely gonna be the future with like kind of all these tools and all that. And so I typed in when a Google form is submitted, create a profile on OneTap. And it did come up with this. It said, hey, we should probably add Google Forms here, and then we should probably have OneTap as the second step here. So this is typically what it looks like. You might have to do this manually, for example, by clicking on the plus button and then being like, hey, here's the action, like find Google Forms, and then going through and then configuring all that. But a lot of the Zapier stuff they've documented, so I won't go too much into that. But as an example right here, what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and create a form. So you want to go to forms.google.com or docs.google.com/forms, and then you can create a new form here. So I created one here called demo event check-in form, and I just called it, for example, like sketchbook essentials, drawing for life, which is just like it's just like an art class. And I put the name here, and then it says what's like the reason you're visiting, right? So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and all the changes are saved. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select that form right here, okay? And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select account, which is my account that I've used, and then it's going to say trigger. It's going to say which form do you want to use, and then we're going to say demo check-in form because that's the form that we're working with here. Now what will happen is I'll have to continue, and then it will say, hey, there's some responses that were already there that were made on the form, so if you'd like to send them over as a test just so you can verify how it's working. So the data here is name for John, and then it's got like some random IDs here, and then it says just to say hi, and then it's got IDs here, all that, okay? So we're gonna hit continue with the record, and then we're gonna hit continue, and it's gonna go over to the OneTap side now. The OneTap side, these are all the actions that we support, like creating a list, creating a participant. So participant is when just to give you guys like an overview, you got profiles, which are all the unique members that are visiting. So let's take an example here of an after school program or maybe a tutoring center. So they have all the students who are visiting, and all their people pay for the memberships and all that. And then they have lists. So for example, that's like the specific day, for example, one specific day in the after school program, or maybe one specific session. For example, study session 6 p.m. or study session 7 p.m. or study session 3 p.m. You get the idea. You can organize it however you want, by day or by session or by literally by day, session, and instructor. So you can definitely create a list in that manner. For example, like tutoring and for example, let's say 6 p.m. and this recurs maybe Monday through Friday, right? And then what we'll say is we'll like literally say, okay, this is for like teacher, for example, like John, right? John students, right? So that's one example. So as an example right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say tutoring. I'm gonna just take the name of the class that we put here in Google Forms, and I'm just going to use that. So I'm just going to say this is like the name of the class that I want to do the connection with. And we just hit continue. And there's some steps here, by the way, connect to other apps, and this will give you the API keys and all that. But I'll get into how that works. We just hit continue right now. We just say don't allow checkout, only allow check-in with tap. And what we want to do is we want to create a profile. First, we just want to get this to work, so it creates a profile. The deleting the lists, adding the lists, updating lists, and all that is just a little bit for later. But so let's start off with creating a profile. And what we'll do is we'll say the account is OneTap. This is where you want to go into change, and you want to add in your own API key. So this is the critical part about how to connect Zapier with OneTap. So what will happen is if you have one of our custom plans, right now we're only offering this on our custom plans. This might change later. You'll go over to the API integration side, and you'll say connect to JotForms or connect to Zapier. It doesn't really matter, but we just need the API key because both of these at the end of the day just like need an API key to work. So I'm gonna take this API key here, and then I'm gonna take the account ID from there as well. So when we go over here, we're gonna hit we're gonna go ahead and click on the change. So this one right here, and we're gonna go ahead and like paste our API key right here in this window, and we're gonna take the account ID, which is gonna be from right here, and we're gonna paste that account ID over on this modal right here, account ID, and then just say continue to OneTap, and it will automatically link that account, the OneTap account, to this, and that's just what you have to do right now. And you hit continue, and then these are all the fields that are from the form. So for example, like we got the field here, name, and we got the name, and what's like your reason for visiting, right? So we're gonna go ahead and pick name right here. I'm not sure where the other fields are coming from. Maybe it's just not refreshing yet. Yeah, sometimes you have to hit that refresh button. And then what we'll do is we'll say email address. We'll say respondent email. I think we can add a email column here. So we just go that what we do is we go over here. We just say short answer. I think. I believe you can just say email address. And I believe Google Form does have some preference, like it doesn't prefer to collect. It doesn't want you to collect personal identifiable information. So I'm not sure what the privacy policy and everything looks like for that, but just a little bit of a heads up. And these are the two responses that we were kind of getting our that we were using for testing up there. That this is what Zapier was saying. So if we go over here, and then it will say, let's see, we type in email. Let's see if we can get that to come up. Respondent email is what it shows right now. And then what we'll do is we'll go over here, and then we will I believe respondent email is actually linked to the Google ID, so we don't need this email thing here. We can just leave that as it is. And then the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here, and we're gonna say, you should probably go over here, by the way, and just do new form response. Yeah, we already talked about that. And just refresh the field sometimes, because whenever you change something on the Google form, you should always just kind of do refresh results here. So afterwards, just continue forward, and then what we'll do is so I guess these are coming from this, like the suggestions before. Okay, so the account, and then the actions, and then let's go over here and let's look up email again, see if it shows up. Yeah, perfect. Okay, respond an email. Okay, so what we'll do now is we will delete one of these, and then we will go take the phone number. You don't have to worry about it. Address, we don't really ask for it. If we did, we can just map those fields here. The notes, for example, we could just say something here like, for example, created from Google Forms. We already do this by default, so don't worry about that too much. And then the check-in code, for example, you don't have to have a check-in code here. Allow duplicate, just say otherwise if it's the same person, if it's another email address that's already exists in the system, then you're going to get an error. And these are all the custom fields. You could add whatever in there. For example, you could just say something like source, right? Like a source app, and you can just say something like Google Form. Over here, you can just enter a text that just says Google Forms X Zapier, right? These are examples. You can also map like other stuff from the form. So it's pretty powerful. So what we'll do is we'll do test this, and then what will happen is it'll say it's sent over data, and it's sent over John. So now if we go to our profiles tab, if we close out of this window and go to our profiles tab, we should be able to see John right here. And yeah, we do see two Johns. So what I'll do is now I will go ahead and do delete all. So I'll start off from scratch. And then another thing that I'll do is I'll do custom fields, and I'll do delete all, just so I don't want anything that's already there on the account to just influence all this. So delete all profiles, and then reload the dashboard. Now what we do is we'll go over here, and then we'll say we'll publish this because we feel like the test stuff was working. That's it. It's published, and then now literally what will happen is all the stuff will go over there. So let's take a look at how this works. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to fill out this information. And so I went ahead and filled out the form as Adam Davis on the Google Forms and basically hit the submit. And then once I did that, OneTap is going to get the name Adam Davis here as well, and then any sort of custom fields, notes, and all that. And if you do want to debug it, Zapier can be a little bit tricky, but what you want to do is you want to go over to the front. You want to go to the very first step and go to triggers. Make sure to hit the refresh and then go to test. And if you do find new records, you'll see new information here, and that will confirm that things are working. As an example here, I'm gonna do like Adam. I'm just gonna do, for example, Bob. Okay, and I'm gonna hit submit. And what will happen is that as soon as you do find new records here inside the Google Forms, you should be getting that new record that says Bob right here. And you can always like kind of piece this together, go into OneTap, and like, you know, you can always click on OneTap and then go into test here again, and then do data in, and then just say like, it'll give you the last one, the Bob, and then do data out, and then just click on like read test step, and you should be able to see information come from Zapier into OneTap. So for example, in this case, Bob. So that's a little bit of a underneath the hood type of stuff. Yeah, let us know what you think about the Zapier integration. The public API is, we do have docs that are located. So if you go over here and you go to public API, the documentations are all provided over here. So for example, for public API, for create lists and all that, you'll click on the article link, and it has some information right here. We do also have like the public API docs, which is located on our Postman page. We'll be linking that on the screen very soon, and then it'll also be available on the community post.